In the last 2 years, there has been some HOA communities where their monthly HOA fees have gone up 300–400%. You can have one complex that has really high HOA, and then another complex just next door that have fairly normal HOA. I mean, how would you feel if you bought a condo and then all of a sudden the association fees went from $500 a month when you bought it and then up to like $1,600 a month only a couple of years later? Are you seeing HOA costs go up in the areas where you're living? I mean, don't get me wrong. Having an HOA take care of everything for you is awesome. But why are some of them so high? In this video, I'm gonna tell you what you need to check when you're buying a condo so that this does not happen to you. There are going to be red flags that you can look out for to identify problematic communities. How can you protect yourself as much as possible in these type of situations? First thing you need to do is read the HOA documents that come with the property. This is really important before you buy the home. You also need to check everything in the HOA documents, and typically most of the time the seller can get you a copy of these documents. It is also really important to check the community's financials. You want to make sure that there is a healthy money reserve inside this association. The higher the reserve balance, the better it is. And then compare that reserve balance to what they're spending each and every year on cost. Do they have a surplus at the end of the year, or are they dipping into their reserves in order to cover additional cost? Finally, when you're buying a condo, besides checking the HOA documents itself, ask for 2 years of board meeting minutes. You can then review these minutes and see if there's any discussions about issues or major repairs that might be coming up that they're planning for. You don't want to be surprised. And then see how much they're spending on these improvements every single month. Is it higher than the normal? As a real estate expert, usually when I see high HOA fees, it tells me that there may be issues in that community. Normally, this is due to mismanagement of the funds. I've seen property management companies not get multiple bids when they require service, simply just because they're just too lazy to try to get 2 or 3 bids, so they go with whatever is the easiest. Or even worse, sometimes they're getting kickbacks from the vendors, contractors, or landscapers that they're hiring. These vendors then charge the HOA more money, and then the property managers basically pocket the extra money, and all of this is hush-hush. They don't tell the property owners. I grant you that inflation over the last 2 years is affecting the cost of everything in our lives. But it makes little sense when one community has very low HOA fees and then the other community just across the street is 3 times higher. Board members are not paying attention to the spending, and their property management companies is not getting the multiple bids when they're hiring. The board member's job is to manage the management company. You as an owner should routinely attend the board meetings and see what is going on. It's your right because it's your money. Often when you attend a board meeting, you may see disagreements between board members. And this is ultimately a good indication that there could be mismanagement of your funds. When you look at the financials from the HOA and the meeting minutes, you'll be able to see if there are any units that aren't paying their monthly HOA dues. If there are, what is the HOA board doing about it? Are they going after the owners for that money? And if not, it's gonna come out of the reserves when the HOA needs to make those repairs. A strong HOA board will go after and be able to collect the money aggressively. During the Great Recession in 2008, there were so many HOA communities that just weren't collecting their dues because their owners were not paying it. And a lot of these HOA communities nearly went bankrupt, or they actually had to raise the HOA dues on the rest of the condo owners. There are actually board members who don't want to make any improvements or any repairs in their community. I know, it's crazy. I've seen communities that have so much deferred maintenance, the exterior of the buildings were starting to fall apart. The landscapings were either completely dead or completely overgrown. This usually spells problems for that particular community. Sometimes the HOA board decides to sue the developer for issues related to construction. Although there may be valid reasons for suing a developer for the faulty construction, some HOAs have been convinced by attorneys just to sue the HOA for less than valid reasons. This is what's known as a money grab. And in those circumstances, the only winners are the lawyers. Over the last 2 to 3 years, we have seen cost of insurance go up 200–300%. Many insurance companies have left some states altogether and are no longer offering coverages in states like California and Florida. These higher insurance costs are now being passed along to the Homeowners Association. This is true for California. The cost of utilities and water have gone up. Our state has asked Californians to conserve water because of past droughts, even though we paid millions of dollars in 2017 taxes to increase our drinking water supply. Nothing came from that, by the way. Then we conserved water usage, and the Water Authority came back and said that they needed to raise the cost of our water because there were insufficient funds from the sale of water because they weren't selling enough. Are you kidding me? We just can't win in this case. The electricity situation in California isn't any better. Because of the droughts, there are now a higher chance of wildfire. And due to the wildfire, companies like San Diego Gas and Electric raised their cost of utility to cover their so-called rising costs. Many condos don't have an HOA reserves in their coffers, or they have a really small reserve. So what happens is when issues arise in the community and they need to do something like replace the roof or treat all the buildings because there are termites, they don't have a choice but to raise the dues or assess a one-time fee that could be tens of thousands of dollars. HOA fees can start at $1,500 and go as high as $4,000 a month. You heard me right, $4,000 a month in HOA fees. What happens to these homeowners when they can't pay these higher fees? Especially if the owner, let's say, is a senior on a fixed income. This could be really bad for them. Well, I've seen HOA companies sue the homeowners for all of the back HOA dues that were owed to them. I've also seen HOA where they put a lien on the property and then these liens continue to grow over time and the owner is pretty much stuck and they can't do anything. And then when they try to go and refinance the condo or when they try to go and sell the condo, all of these past mispayments, all the interests that are added, and then a lot of times they'll add on fees on top of all of that. The HOA company then tries to go after all of this money. The escrow company that is responsible will then deduct all of these proceeds from the seller, forcing the seller to have to pay, which leaves the owner with little to nothing left when they sell their home. The thing is that not all HOAs have this type of problem. Many HOAs are managed perfectly fine and have no issues. Others either are poorly managed or there are corruption in the board and the property managers. And they're probably stealing money from the homeowners by overpaying the contractors and vendors for their services. I've personally witnessed a complex here in San Diego where the Homeowners Association actually sued the property managers because they found out that he was stealing money from their association. Buyers beware. This is also why it's a good reason to partner with a real estate agent when you're looking to buy a home or a condo. I have a network of agents all over the country who I trust to take care of my clients. And if you have any questions regarding the HOA that you're associated with, but you just don't know where to turn, reach out to me using the link below and I'll see if I can steer you in the right direction. I really hope you enjoy these videos because I'm making it for you. Let me know if you enjoy it in the comments below. If you have any questions about your property specifically, reach out to me and I can help you out with any issues that you might be facing. Informed Real Estate has been I'm Scott. I'm Scott and you've been Real Estate Informed. Don't get me wrong. No.
Don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong.